was bad. All right, sorry, I'm trying to be. Thank you, Brad, Ernest, the Dennis, and Dennis Claire, and Kathy, and Julia were missing me. So happy travels. Want to start with?
We want to start with,
Announcement.
we care. We care.
So while we were on the song, you just talked and said, I didn't put it together. He said the poker event and one
Okay,
part.
Garrett, President Garrett. We cares first, and
Yeah.
then we do that.
Let me just explain, so a new enlightenment he had was one heart, one club. He says that goes with the poker. I never knew that about one heart.
No, it doesn't. Don didn't make that song for the poker event. We've adapted it as it connects, right? One part, one club.
So that's the connection, guys, with one little poker. After, long, like the hospital.
I'm on Julia Jordan.
Barry, I have no idea what you're saying. Are we, hello?
Yeah.
We need batteries.
Okay, so, one heart, one club, I will, talk about diamonds and, spades. I
Sorry,
guess.
girl.
No.
We care, right? We care.
We're supposed to
We
be
care.
doing we care.
We care.
We care.
We care.
Up in the corner.
We care.
Concerned and mentioned and not mentioned. You ready for poker run?
Gary, the next thing is
Like you're doing the song?
inspirational moment and then the song.
And then introduce.
I took it COVID, said, I passed, I didn't have COVID, but this freaking head congestion is really done me under. Okay.
Inspirational moment, Adam Lewis.
I think I'm loud enough.
Come on,
Can
come on.
everybody hear me?
They want you.
Good?
They want you.
You want? Oh, been trying to go on a diet and send it down. Avoid the camera. All right. So here's my quote inspiration. I encountered this when in my former club. And when new inductees were announced, the whole club got up and they run through this inspirational quote. So I'm going to provide it to you now. For those who know it, come along. For those who don't, this hopefully will resonate. So what is a Rotarian? A Rotarian is a person who digs wells from which they will never drink. A person who vaccinates children they will never meet, who restores sight to those they will never see, who builds houses they will never live in, who educates children they will never know, who plants trees they will never sit under, who feeds hungry people regardless of race, religion, or politics, who makes crawlers walk halfway around the world, and who knows real happiness, which, as Albert Schweitzer said, can only be found by serving others.
Texas Hold'em, Dean, Randy, Bill. Joe.
If we could do this song and then they're gonna come up.
Hello, Rotarians and guests.
Hey, Gary?
Yeah.
So can you give a quote for everybody who has ever thought they could be the president of the world? Gary?
I didn't even. I'm ready to retire. Impeachment.
Hello, Rotarians and guests. Today we're going to sing One Heart, One Club. Let's go to it.
One heart, one club, one club. Let's get together, do good, have fun. We do wheelchairs and the spirit run. Let's get together, do good, have fun. Rotary gives thanks, and when the work is done, let's get together, do good, have fun. One heart, one club, one club. Let's get together, do good, have fun. Peace to service, a new day has come. Let's get together, do good, have fun. Mother, daughter, father, son. Let's get together, do good, have fun. One heart, one club, one club. Let's get together, do good, have fun. One heart, one club. Let's get together, do good, have fun.
All right. Gary really wanted this poker announcement, and we really want to give it to you, so. I'm surrounded by past presidents and more of them in the room. You guys do a great job of leadership. These guys are doing a great job working with me and other people on the poker committee. Couple things that we need. Bob has a technical word for it. I'll use it. It's called butts in seats. We need butts in seats. So who do you know that wants to play and have a good time? That we need them to go to our link, sign up. I'll let you guys tell the rest of the story.
Well, it's that time of year again. You guys are probably tired of hearing me come up this time, but it is poker season. So let's get together, do good and have fun at the poker tournament, right? What a better way to do it. You guys, this is a fun event. We've done really well. This is our second largest fundraiser. And it's getting, if we're not careful, we may overtake the Spirit Ride. That'd be a challenge. It could happen, but we can't do it without your help. You guys, we need you there. We need your friends there. Statistically, everybody knows 100 people. Get out there and get just 1 or 2 of your friends to come. That's all we need. And we'll have a very successful event. And let's do me one huge favor. Have a Rotarian win so this guy doesn't get the trophy ever again, please. That would just be a huge favor for me.
I'll let Bob go last. So I just want to tell everybody that, as you can see, I've won a few trophies.
Oh my God.
And the reason that I wanted to bring that to your attention is,
Again.
you don't have to really know how to play poker to win this thing. When I started playing in 2014, I really had no idea.
Still don't.
What I was doing. I went to one poker tournament in somebody's garage. And we swear on the second hand, this guy went all in, and I had some good cards, and I went all in and I lost. Second hand. I'm like, this is not fun. What is this? This is not, and you didn't have an opportunity in that at that game to do a rebuy. So I just want you all to know that it's you don't have to be an expert. Plus, on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock at my office, we're doing practice Texas Hold'em. Okay, so you can come and you can practice. If you don't know how to play, Bob will teach you. Ricky will teach you. I will teach you. So this is what I got when I won the tournament. This is in 2015. I think I'm the only one that's in the club that has ever won the tournament.
No, Jeff
Williams and I are the 2 that have won the tournament. And then this is the other.
There's an asterisk here on yours.
I've got 2, my name on here twice, and Bob Brown has his name a couple times. So I'll let Bob tell you about this trophy. But this is something that you should also try to win if you come to the tournament.
When you come.
Yeah, when you come to tournament. So as everybody said, this is a large fundraiser for us now. Started out, I think we made $3,000 for our first year. This year, we're expecting to make over $20,000. So it has kind of quickly bloomed into a large fundraiser, and it's a lot of fun. So those of you who haven't been there before, please take an opportunity. You don't need to play, just come, have a drink, have dinner, and check it out. It's a lot of fun. So now we're gonna have the official mic turning over of the trophy. So this trophy, so the winner of the event gets a trophy, and then the highest ranking Area 4 Rotarian gets their name on the Traveling Rotary Cup. We give this to the club that has the highest ranking Rotarian in the trophy. As Mike said, he's on the trophy a couple times. I'm on a couple times. Jeff Williams, well, Jim Hansen is on that trophy. They're all from our club. So if you know people from other clubs, we're gonna go out and try to get other Area 4 clubs involved, but we like to bring the trophy just to show them. You get to keep it for a year. We don't ask what you do with it. I mean, you can do whatever you want with it. We don't ask. We just ask that you sterilize it when you bring it back. And I'm a little disappointed, Mike, I must say, because I've seen no social media posts with you around town with the trophy. So we're gonna have to fix that next year. Whoever wins, we're gonna hold them accountable for doing some social media posts with the trophy. So, but
This is a great thing to take with you if you're camping. If there's a bear outside your tent and you have to relieve yourself, this really works well.
This from experience?
so we're gonna turn that over right now. Mike, no longer in possession of the Rotary Cup. Friday, May 19th is the tournament. I'm gonna send out to the club, you know, the details. Like I said, you can contribute in a couple of ways. One, play. Two, just come and have dinner or volunteer. Three, be a sponsor. So any of those ways, all of those are outlined on the website. We'll outline them in our email. So please help us out, make this a 3,000 plus event this year. Thanks.
Keep up the great work, which I think is quite so fun. All right, do we have any other announcements? Oh, yeah, well, all right, we'll do that now.
Wanna do that later?
Sure, go ahead, you stand. Come on up.
About visiting Rotarians.
So,
Yes.
good afternoon, everyone. At the last meeting that we had, I bragged about all the places that we've been traveling to. I won't go through that again. But I did pick up something in Belgium in a little town called Bruges, which I highly recommend. And one of the things they're known for, not only for their great beer, I didn't bring any beer, so sorry, but I did bring you something sweet, some chocolates from Bruges in Belgium. So there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
You can have a spot.
All right, so any visiting Rotarians and guests? Visiting, no. Tom?
We have no business or.
Okay. And guests the Rotarian? No. So let's see, we're missing John Lumen announcement on Rotary Gives Thanks, May 6th.
Yeah.
So is everybody signed up to know what we're doing? Who doesn't know what Rotary Gives Thanks is? Good, okay, so bring scouts, volunteers, friends, relatives, family members, grandchildren, kids to help out the seniors and parents. All right.
All right.
Hey, Gary,
Oh,
Tim
yeah.
Stafford, how about all the people on Zoom?
You're the only person that.
I know.
Hi, Dick, go ahead.
How you doing, Dick?
Hello.
Go say hi to everybody.
We got the mic, Dick. Thanks, I learned that from Larry Adams. We're missing a bunch of people today, so I hope everybody's okay. And it seems like allergies are bad. Pollen balloon, okay, IRI in video, Vicky.
Yeah, 1 second. Get this thing. I can hit play.
The challenges that I face to stick to what I believe in, creating use out of the useless. They thought I could not do it, they thought I could not make it, and today I am in the Forbes 30 under 30 list of social entrepreneurs of Asia. I'm Dr. Binish Desai of Rotary Club of Vibrant Valsad. I am a social entrepreneur and an innovator. I convert waste into eco-innovations, houses, toilets, and 150 other products. A social entrepreneur is someone who talks about creating a social change through its products, through its disruptive technologies. To provide them the employment. My factories were quite far from here, and I thought, let's do something unique. Let's bring the factory here. It's not just about creating a particular product, but actually breaking the barriers that the society has created.
We started with very small ideations of doing something for the women, something for the society, and that led to a journey which is starting, and now let's see where it takes us.
The introduction.
Yeah, I didn't know
We're
you were
gonna
ready for me.
keep it fast track.
Okay, that's correct. Hey, before we introduce today's speaker, I'm just gonna make a couple of really brief announcements. So the president-elect Van Dorn in the back there is putting his board together, and he'll be announcing that soon. And our foundation desperately needs a treasurer. Okay, Marjorie's been doing it for 6 years, and according to our bylaws, she's timed out, can't be on the board any longer. So if you have that skill set, we'd love to talk to you about it. And we're thinking about hiring a bookkeeper to actually do the bookkeeping part, so the treasurer will be attending board meetings and explaining the financial statements to the rest of the trustees. So that's something that we really need to work on. If you know somebody that might be a good candidate for that, please have them talk to me. I'll be doing the president of the foundation next year. Also, our scholarship committee chair, Nancy Harrington, has done that for 8 years, and she is a hard stop on June 30th.
But she has an announcement.
You have an announcement you'd like to make? I would love to hand you the microphone and hear your announcement, because I haven't heard it.
Yes, we have three of our members who are going to be in charge of scholarship, and then it's Dennis and Mark and
So we have to keep that going. Okay, today's speaker, backed by popular demand. Joe Testa was here last year, our Livermore Pleasanton Fire Chief, and he had a great program. Everybody loved it so much that we invited him back again. So, Joe, without further ado.
Thank you, Bill. Great to be back with this group. It's just a good spot for me to stand for the remote. Great. All right. All right, I might do that. So I do have a PowerPoint. I just created it this week. So kind of what you saw last year was my go-to presentation. But since I'm back in a year's time, I thought it would be fun to just do today's as more of an update. So for those who were not here, I'm sorry. We'll cover a little bit of the high level stuff, but then for this year, we'll get a little bit more into kind of what's been going on since I saw you last and what's coming in the near future. So first of all, a big thank you for moving to this venue, because when people called and said, "Where's the fire chief?" and staff said at Watch and Wager, it didn't go well. It did not go well. So thank you. Thank you for moving to a venue that's a little more socially acceptable. So yeah, about a year ago, I became the fire chief of the Livermore Pleasanton Fire Department. It's been a pretty interesting year, probably would be for any department head coming into their job, but I led off with just giving my staff 2 simple orders. And I thought that they were doable. I said, don't burn down the Pleasanton Bridge, and don't let the light bulb, the oldest light bulb, which is sitting in Livermore, burn out. So as most people know in this room, they gave me a month before they lit off the Pleasanton Ridge and had a pretty serious fire that triggered evacuations of Golden Eagle and Castlewood. We evacuated Golden Eagle. We noticed Castlewood. It started on the Kilcare side and burned into our jurisdiction. The slides show a unified command. So it was a unified command with Pleasanton Police, Alameda County Sheriff's, CAL FIRE, how we were running that fire on the ridge. Fortunately, it did not get to any homes. We had aircraft dropping tanks of water and retardant on the Pleasanton Ridge, helicopters, quite a spectacular and scary fire. But the good news is staff listened to me on the light bulb. So as of today, it is still burning. It has been burning since 1901, the longest burning light bulb on Earth. So if you ever get a chance to get out to our fire station 6 and see it, it is really a cool project.
On Earth?
On Earth.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the filament made of that it hasn't burned up?
Carbon.
Top secret, you can
No, I think you're right. It is carbon. It's from Pennsylvania. It's a little bit thicker. It's when they were kind of in the development stage of light bulbs really early on. They brought it, it sounds like it probably ended up in a hardware store, but then was given as a gift to the firefighters of Livermore. So it was all volunteer at that time. So they would respond to the station and they'd be one of the few places in town that had a light on. When they got into the station at night. They didn't know what they had. They didn't know it was going to be the longest burning light bulb. But they did know it was a gift to the fire department from a member of the community. So as they would go out on responses, they would literally tap the light bulb and it would swing. Years later, they moved out of the downtown fire station. That building's actually still there, and they moved out to East Avenue where it's housed now. And it used to be on a cord that hung a little lower, and they used to play a lot of basketball out on the apparatus floor. So that light bulb has been through a lot. It's a lot better protected now. It's higher. We don't play basketball around it anymore. It's become an international treasure. It's funny. Probably people in this room didn't know it was here, but just about everyone in Europe knows about it and comes to see it.
So I live about 2 blocks away from that fire station, and it's amazing, we hardly ever have power outages. Because they're keeping the light bulb lit.
If that's true, I will say thank you to PG&E. It is on an uninterrupted power source. And the station's on a generator. That's interesting. All right, so since I have seen you last, really interesting thing happened. We had been trending up in a fairly steady curve in terms of calls since the two cities joined 25 years ago. And then during COVID, I think because everybody's staying home, our call volume actually dropped significantly during the first year of COVID. And then it started to trickle back up. And then last year, calendar year, we had our single biggest increase in call volume that we've had in the history of the organization. The division of call types didn't change. I'll show you a slide on that in a moment, but for some reason we had our biggest jump, and we're not sure what that was exactly. A couple other things changed since I saw you last. In Pleasanton, the fire station, the fire station on Burnell Avenue, just making sure I had the right chart up, was our busiest station in Pleasanton, and then Pine and Rincon was our busiest station in the department. And actually the headquarters station at Burnell in Nevada last year became our busiest fire station. So kind of an interesting change to see happen. Our response time target remains that we make it there 7 minutes or less 90% of the time. That gives us 1 minute to process the 911 call, 1 minute to get dressed, look at the map, be on the rig responding, and then a 5-minute drive time. We don't meet that response time. We haven't for a long time. So we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do to address that coming up. Our average is better than 7 minutes, but our 90th percentile time is not. So this is what we were up to last year in terms of call types. So 65% of our calls were medical, traffic accidents, something involving our paramedics and the patient. The next biggest slice of the pie is a good intent call. So those can be anything from a fire alarm that's not a fire to a pretty common call that we get now, and I'm sure the Chief's department does as well, is the passed out person in a car who is actually just texting. And a good intended person calls 911 and, so anything like that. The next biggest is service calls, so we'll come out for just about, anything. We and the police department kind of model ourselves as the 24-hour after hour service for the entire city. So a tree down, we're probably both gonna respond, and if it's within our scope, we're gonna get that tree out of the roadway and reopen the road. We're not gonna do cleanup. Public Works is gonna come out the next morning and dispose of it and everything. Yeah, and then the other slices are a little bit smaller. One of the smallest slices of the pie for the fire department is fire. And it is at 3%, but any mathematicians in the room, 3% of 16,000 ends up being more than one fire a day. So we actually are fairly busy with fire. It's just not the most of what we do. And the really good news is the vast majority of our fires stop in what we call the incipient phase, or kind of that just starting phase. So you may go to work and not realize that your neighbor had a small kitchen fire, or left a candle too close to a bath towel or something like that. We come in, we put it out, we blow the smoke out of the building, we're on our way, and people don't know. So I promised that I would talk about what we've been up to the last year. This is what's going on right now, and we have a little conversation at our table. We are pursuing an improved ISO rating. So the Insurance Services Office, or ISO, rate all fire departments on their ability to respond and the service level that they provide. They do it on kind of a holistic look at the community. It's not just us. They look at the water system, they look at our apparatus, our personnel, our training, where our stations are, and they come up with a rating, and that rating is used for mainly commercial insurance, but to set property insurance rates. And we're a Class 3 fire department. We have been for a long time. But we've been learning a lot more about ISO the last couple of years, and we think that without any additional investment into the fire department, that we can be an ISO Class 2 at minimum, and possibly even a Class 1, which would result in decreased insurance rates for the community. So that's one of the things that we're working on pursuing right now. We didn't realize how little ISO doesn't work with you to get the product. They take what they have, they put it in their database, and they don't tell you that you can take a look at it and see if it's right. We've since learned that we can, and we've started that. I mentioned that we're going to talk about what we're going to do about response time and community growth, and some of the large projects going on in the city, traffic calming devices. All of that has impact on fire department response time. So we're going to be launching, we've just completed the scope, and we're looking for a firm to come in and do a community risk assessment. And they look at where our stations are placed, where our personnel are placed, what our response times are, and they tell us, with our current staffing and deployment, are we doing the best that we can? And to prepare for the future growth of the community, what do we need to do? Or if we want to hit right now that 7 minutes or less 90% of the time, what we would need to do. And they look at the greater risks of the community as well. They'll take a look at things like our building codes and make sure that they're progressive enough. So for me, it's really exciting. It's kind of a fire chief geek out event, but I'll be able to take that report when we have it and go to the cities and have a third party view who can really just share the response level that we can truly do right now. And we've been merged for over 25 years now. We're in our 26th year, and we've never done this study. So it's way overdue. Normally a department does this about every 5 years. Recruitment, retention, culture, and workplace. I put our newest workplace slide. We were together a year ago. Station 3 at Santa Rita and West Lost was not open. It has since been open. I think it's an absolutely beautiful fire station. We're thrilled to have that open and back in play. We're starting to experience something that we didn't really expect in the fire service in terms of recruitment and retention. When I was a kid and was applying to fire departments, and you've probably seen or read about the lines of people around the corner hoping to even just get the application so that they could put in. In 2023, that is not the culture that we're experiencing. We have had to switch to active recruitment. In our last hiring, we left 6 vacant jobs on the table because we couldn't find anybody that we wanted to work for the LPFD to fill those positions. So we're kind of playing catch up, where before people were really coming to us wanting the job. So we're having to rethink our approach to hiring. We've lost 2 employees to other organizations, and that had never happened in the history of our fire department, and it's happened twice in the last year. So it's just a really interesting time for us. We have a ton of pride and a ton of ego about the LPFD, and to be at this point is just a very different experience. But we're going to learn, we're going to adapt, we're going to partner with other public safety agencies and human resources and figure out what to do. The big stop point for people. So there are still a ton of people that want to be firefighters. Every one of our fire companies has a paramedic on it. So that's a requirement for most of our people that come to work at the LPFD. And that's the real big stop. And in my opinion, not scientific, but the system was turning out just enough paramedics until we went into COVID. And then the system stopped turning out paramedics. And all of a sudden, all of the agencies are competing for what few are available and out there. Las Positas was a great partner to us in paramedic schools. They have not restarted their program yet. We are hoping that they do. We're hoping they do soon, because that's our future employees that are coming out of programs like that. And then workplace and culture. So I mentioned last time, and we've made some pretty good progress, that we were going to be launching a diversity, equity, and inclusion assessment at the fire department. We have fully launched that assessment. They've completed the first round of their study, where they were actually able to come out and visit every one of our fire stations, look at the physical facilities, look at the equipment. They met with every firefighter that was on duty the day that they were doing their trip. They met with our union executive board, and then after that, we provided them all of our policies and procedures. They've been working with human resources on how we do recruitment, retention, hiring, promotion. So I am told that we are very close to the product. I wish that I had it and this could be the first group that hears about it, but we have not even given a teaser yet on what's in it, and I'm dying. But very soon we're going to have that assessment, and then we'll be able to turn that assessment into an action plan and see what we need to do to be a workplace that people want to come to and want to stay at in the areas that we're not doing it right now. And then lastly, still alive and well, but not as bad of an issue as it was when I was with you last time, is EMS transport. So when we came together a year ago, the ambulance company that provides service to Livermore and Pleasanton and most of the county was really struggling on their response times. They have since improved. We are still concerned that the model is not the right model for this county, and we are also concerned about the lack of local control that we have when things don't go right. We don't have any control. The county administrates that. So the county is putting the ambulance contract up for bid, and Alameda County Fire Department has noticed pretty much everyone, that including us, that they intend to bid, and they're looking for opportunities where they can partner with agencies like us to deliver that service. And what that looks like, we don't know yet. We're in very, very early talks with them right now. Could be anything from we just give them our data so that they know where to put the ambulances, to us full on having ambulances in the system, and a few steps in between. So we'll see where that goes, but I'm optimistic about the future in EMS. The bid, the contract's also going to have some changes. Some, as a Livermore Pleasanton rep, I think look very positive, and some I'm a little bit concerned about, but it hasn't been released yet. It's all kind of speculative right now. So getting to the end, but also kind of the what's next and what's going on. This year has been an exciting year so far. So I think we're coming out of COVID. That's my test, negative. Not today, not today. I have no reason to test today, but yeah, so I think we're coming out of COVID. We're still hearing talks about new variants. Kind of our last restriction that we had at the fire department, which was, and health in general, which was wearing masks into health facilities, has been relaxed. So if you're following the news on a little bit more regional scale, right after that happened, Santa Rosa had an outbreak in a hospital, and now everybody's back to wearing masks up there. So it's not to say that it can't swing back, and we'll adapt if it does. Pretty exciting start to the year. New Year's Eve. I didn't realize I was coming to work, but about 6 o'clock I realized I was when the storm started to hit. And I also didn't realize how hard it would be to get to work. But with the flooding and the road closures and everything, the year started off with a real challenge. So we ended up activating our explorers and reserves to help the community fill sandbags at the house off of Sonoma Boulevard. On the other side of that wall is a skilled, you don't see the wall in the picture, but there's a concrete wall and a skilled nursing facility, and it looks like anybody is of my age, they probably remember the cartoon with the people trying to fill the dam with a finger or a piece of chewing gum, and that wall that was holding the water back from the skilled nursing facility looked exactly like that, little spurts of water, and I was chewing gum as frantically as I could. And that was followed by the big wind event that we had a few weeks after that, and then more rains and more threats of flooding that particularly hit the Monterey Peninsula. Unfortunately, we thought it was going to hit us, but it didn't. But our response in the world is changing. So I would have told you if I had come and met with this group 20 years ago, I would have said, don't worry about the Pleasanton Ridge. Well, this is a second fire on the Pleasanton Ridge, actually in a really remote spot that we had last year. So it is an area that is no longer kind of off limits in terms of the things that it takes to create fire to burn. All right, I will close out and turn to questions with this, but if you want to reach me, my email is on there. I encourage everyone, if you have not signed up with AC Alert, to sign up with AC Alert. Do it on your phone right now. That's the primary community notification system for when there's disasters. Police have access to it, fire has access to it. So if we need to communicate with the community urgently, that's going to be our primary path is the fire department. If you want to see what we're up to and see what the fire engine with the lights and sirens going by was, Pulse Point's a great app to download. You can look at real time and see where we're responding and what the nature of the call is for, how many units are responding, and you can even press a little button and turn on the radio and hear what they're saying on the radio. And then we're not as active as we'd like to be on social media, but we do have social media accounts and try to post there. I will turn it to questions.
Coming today. How many employees do you have and where do they all live?
So Julie asked how many employees the LPFD has and where do they live? So we have 128 full-time positions. Most of those are filled right now, not all of them. And our people, some of the more senior people tend to live on this side of the Altamont, but most of our younger people live either in Brentwood or on the other side of the Altamont in the Central Valley or Sacramento area, mostly for affordable housing.
How much interaction do you have with Camp Parks Fire?
How much interaction do we have with Camp Parks Fire? So Camp Parks has its own federal fire department. They're actually run out of the base that's going to slip my mind right now, but down in the Monterey area. Anyway. Yeah. So they've been great over the years. They've kind of at times, depending on who their chief that's assigned to that department is, they're kind of all in regionally, or at other times they limit how much they put themselves into the mix with the rest of us. Their firefighters really like to get off the base, and we're happy to have them because they've got some resources that we don't, primarily a water tender, which is the truck filled with water. Our fire engines have 500 gallons, but these trucks bring 3,000 or 5,000 gallons, depending on the truck. So we will respond with them all the time. The current practice is that they are in the system and respond with us. And then we'll respond on to their, so they used to do, people probably remember a controlled burn there every single year, and then houses kept getting closer and closer to the base. And it became very unpopular to do the controlled burn, so they stopped doing that. But artillery and dry grass kind of have the same result whether you plant it or not. So we're generally out there once a year or so doing a vegetation fire. Yeah.
How will AI affect public safety?
That's a really good question. So Bob asked how artificial intelligence will affect public safety, and I will answer very briefly and say, I don't know yet. I imagine we could ask it. And it would probably give a more cogent response than I can. Yeah, so there are already some things built into systems that we and everybody uses, but as far as the more global impact of sort of this recent transformation of AI, I don't know yet.
Some of you have been here long enough to remember what I'm gonna talk about. Before the mall was built, along Foothill Road, there were two houses, two old houses. You know what I'm talking about?
Fallon House.
One was owned by the Historical Society. The other was one that was abandoned or sold. It was gonna be used for an exercise for the fire department to burn down and practice. Just think of that on Foothill Road, those two houses. Lady by the name of Marie Cronin, who was one of the big people in the Historical Society, was driving by and noticed that they were burning the wrong house. So she stopped, said, "You're burning the wrong house."
Yeah.
Look, lady, we're professionals. We know what we're doing. Okay, just go about your business and don't worry about it. That costs the fire department a lot of money. I have no idea how much, but that. And I can't remember the year. Brad, what year was that, Brad?
That's probably about 1973 or 4.
Yeah. That moves quite fast.
I was there.
So, that predates me. That really happened. Go back to Brad and then we'll go over here.
Joe, 2 questions. One, it wasn't it as a level 3 rated fire department. Give us 2 or 3 examples of people that are rated level 1. The second question is, if you're having trouble recruiting, what's the entry level pay for a firefighter?
So the 2 questions are a couple examples of a level 1 city. So closest, the ISL level 1 closest. San Ramon Regional Fire Protection District was able to obtain level 1. And the reason I think it's in sight for us is because we're not that different from them in terms of staffing and deployment. And then Stockton's another long-standing example of a level 1 fire department. Starting pay for a firefighter paramedic is you're going to make more than this whether you want to or not, because we have a fair amount of overtime and some of it is mandated. But they're going to start right between 120 and 130 a year as a firefighter paramedic. Yeah, so in my opinion, pretty good starting pay.
You have any applications with you?
Online,
Sure. Yeah, first of all, thanks for the presentation. That was a great overview, but I wanted to kind of piggyback on the question about pay, kind of maybe broaden it. I mean, if we're having a hard time recruiting and or keeping people, I mean, pay is obviously one element, but is it working conditions, is it pay, is it benefits, is it lifestyle? I mean, what's causing either attrition or cancellation to kind of track on people?
Yeah, so I think our 2 people that left were really kind of anomalies. One was young and wanted more fires than we get and went to the Oakland Fire Department. And if that is who you want to be, we can't compete with that. Not sure if it's a good longevity decision as an older person, but and the other lived on the Central Coast and took a job down on the Central Coast. So I'm hoping that our departures were kind of anomalies and that's not a thing that we continue to see. But it is an interesting time because when I started, there were multiple reasons in my contract for me to stay at this fire department for my entire career, and those things are gone now. Their retirement rate travels with them. Their service time travels with them. They don't get retiree medical like my generation did. They get a savings account, so they can take that with them. So the new employees are more portable. I do think particularly at administrative levels in the future, you're gonna see a lot more movement amongst fire departments, and I'm not sure that part's unhealthy, but the part right now with recruitment, yeah, I think, agencies are asking themselves, what is enough? What is gonna bring people? The chief and my jaw hit the floor recently when we saw Alameda City offering a $75,000 signing bonus to police officers. Totally unheard of. Why? We're used to lines and people that want to come work here. So what we are doing at our fire department is there's a million good ideas out there. Probably not a million. There's a number of really good ideas out there, but there's so many good ideas that we really need to hone in on a few of them that we can actually execute to address our recruitment. So we're actually going to form a team, firefighters, labor, human resources, and see what we can do. One, like I said, the big stumbling block for us is paramedic. So if maybe somebody could have a commitment to us at the end and we somehow champion them through paramedic school, we find the character and the values of the person that we want, and we help them to get through school, and then they're our employee at the end, is one of them, but it's one of many.
A lot of us know firemen who have second jobs, maybe we hire them as a landscaper or a builder or a bathroom remodel. A lot of them have second jobs, so your schedule allows them to do that. So what is the schedule? Is it like 2 days on, 3 days off, or just give us a rundown of that?
Sure. So our firefighters work what we call a 4896. So they come on duty. They are there from 8 a.m. till 8 a.m. 2 days later. And then if they don't have overtime or trade or something, they then get 4 days off for the next 96 hours off. So when I started, I would probably say most firefighters had second jobs. That has changed in our fire department. Most of our firefighters' second jobs are covering our stations on their days off, working overtime or extra shifts. But there are still some that do. Most people in our department don't. Yeah, it is passing, and pros and cons. When I started, we were more of maybe generalists or didn't have to have the same level of training experience. We weren't delivering the same service that we're delivering right now. So it has become a true standalone expertise level profession that you really almost can't have other things competing with that. But the downside is, when I started, most people were coming from the trades or the military and had that level of background, so they really knew building construction and military militaristic organizations and things like that. Yeah.
What was the initial source of the bridge fire? And separate question, do you anticipate risk of fires in the wind season because of the PG&E lines?
So the two questions, and I'm getting them were what started the Killcare fire. So the best information that I ended up with was it started on a private residential property, and they had a power line. I do not know if it was a PG&E line or if it was something private that they had run that came down and ignited the grass and burned Killcare and made it up over the hill onto our side. In terms of dry grass and wind, and this year I did a presentation in Livermore recently with a battalion chief from CAL FIRE, and somebody said, "Hey, is this going to be the worst year ever?" Because we hear that every year. And the answer is, it really depends on the weather during the fire season. So when we get those dry offshore winds, the hairs on the back of firefighters' necks go up. If you mix that with dry lightning, we're just going to be sitting in the vehicle with it on because we know we're going at that point. So the weather is probably the biggest driving factor, not as much as the grasses are really tall this year because we got lots of rain or something like that. And if you look around our hills, the grasses are curing a little bit later this year, but they're curing, and they're all going to be ground. I'll close on that. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It is always a pleasure to be with you.
You don't drink, do you? If you like it red. Come on. I think I owe you a bottle of olive oil. Mike Osman, I owe you a.
Yeah, right on.
So opportunity to join Dennis.
I did.
We have.
Step over. Mike.
Thank you.
The most valuable thing we have in life is our time.
All right.
I'm probably gonna give it back 5 minutes.
Tom.
All right, Tom, you're on. And that was the Fallon House put together with wooden pegs. I rode my bike, we lived just less than a mile from there, so I saw Marie pleading with the fire department. I don't think it didn't cost you anything.
I sure did.
It did?
Sure they paid for that or?
Yeah, they had to pay the historical society a lot of money.
788.
I don't remember that part.
$64, Joe.
Thank you. I'll take it. No, I won't.
Tom.
One more.
Other one? Might be mine, but
There's only 2 in there.
I can't find my ticket, so.
$793.
That Joe?
793.
All right, well, maybe they went.
You can't find your ticket.
What I said.
Okay. I think that's it. Everybody, do good, have fun, make it a great day.
Sorry, Tom.
You gotta be ready for 5.